All good.
Got my hat. Can I get my hat?
Welcome to the My Bike Motorcycle Insurance Australian Superbike Championship, our round at Morgan Park here in what should be sunny Queensland but isn't. I'm talking here with the hatless, just inside the top 10, Mike Jones. Mike, you're leading the championship, but funny old day really, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, today was much like our testing here a couple of weeks ago. It just damp and not really any chance of dry track time today. So yeah, spent a lot of time just sitting around and eating.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to ask though is because the superbike category especially has pretty much lost the day, what does this do to tomorrow morning sessions when we will get some dry running? Does that just bring a level of pressure that will separate the field, or is everybody in the same boat pretty much? Well,
I think that for the locals, it's probably a benefit, you know, and the people who have been able to test here in the dry. That obviously that's beneficial, because missing out on this dry track time today or Friday practice means that, you know, you're sort of just lacking that little bit of setup and whatnot. So for the guys that have had dry track time at the test, and yeah, they're in a good position, and that's the position that we're in. We're in a good spot here. We've you know, I've done a lot of laps around this track, so I'm very familiar with it, and yeah, I think that, you know, come tomorrow when the weather's better, we should be able to go fast straight away.
All right, we'll turn now to our second place in the championship, or third place, sorry, Bryan. Bryan, today, a day like today, you got out and got a lot of laps in the end, despite the fact there was wet running. What was the motivation behind that?
I quite like it, actually. Kind of anyway, you know, like I guess we did, when we were here testing a few weeks ago, and we, like Mike said, we had 2 bad days, and I sort of rode around a little bit on those bad days and had a crack at it then in the wet, which was the first time actually on a Pirelli tyre for many, many, many years in the rain, and the first time on this Ducati in the rain also. So I wanted to get a feeling for it, because I think it's been something like 5 odd years that we haven't had a wet Australian Superbike race, and it's going to happen at some point. But so that's my motivation initially, and then when we got another opportunity to go on the wet again today, make the motorbike a little bit different, and just, I don't know, we're here, they've got everything around us here to ride and use it, and yeah, anyway, there's a million reasons to be a little bit apprehensive, but the truth is that I quite enjoy it.
I was going to say, is it still a thrill getting out on a superbike in the wet? Admittedly, probably with the wettest settings that you can manage in terms of traction control, but is it still quite a thrill to have the bike, you know, dancing around a bit underneath you and finding that a little bit of the limit on a day like today?
I absolutely think so. It still gives me a bit of a buzz, and it's just quite a challenge, I guess. But yeah, that's it. It's I guess it's always thought of in preparation for racing, but, like, you know, it's not going to be wet here on Sunday, and you know, it's essentially, you could say it's a waste of time, and it probably has been, but, like, one day it'll come in handy.
Speaking of people just enjoying the thrill of the superbike, Broc Pearson, how did it feel to release the pit lane limited this morning, wet, dry, whatever it was, when you went out? How did that feel?
Yeah, look, it's always pretty special getting back on the bike at the moment and rolling out a pit lane. I love that at the moment. I'm very fortunate to be back doing what I love. So, yeah, look, it's nice to get back on something, especially the Panigale V4R is pretty special. So, yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, well, for you also, trying to get some track time's been difficult, because you had the wet running today and the wet test. Bryan just said it, and we all know it. It's going to be dry across the weekend. Tomorrow morning's pretty big for you, isn't it?
Yeah, and it'll be a different situation, but like the couple of boys have said, like, we did get a dry running in sometime last week, and it was really beneficial for a lot of us. And, you know, I think I'd done enough to, you know, on that day even to think that I should be able to, you know, do okay in time practice and go straight through to Q2, which was, you know, a goal of mine from the start of the year that I thought I would have achieved in the first round, and I hadn't. So that'll be my first goal tomorrow, and then pretty much off from there, I hope.
Now, what's your best time around here on a super sport? Because I gather you're pretty quick around here.
I've done a 14.1.
Right, and so what are we thinking, gentlemen, from the crowd? We need a 13.5 for really competitive top 5. Is that about right? Stony-faced.
I think it'll be faster than that. Yeah.
Race pace. Anyway, I was sort of pushing into that.
Yeah, it'll still be faster.
But you
than
must
that.
feel a sense of confidence because a 14, you're like, that sort of numbers on a super sport bike is really quick.
Yeah, I was definitely moving on the 600 when I come here, and that was pretty much like, prior to winning the championship, so I had a lot of form at that point, but I was riding a bike a lot at the time, and it makes that difference. And as Mike's showing this year, he's riding pretty much every machinery he can wherever he can, and it pays off. And that's why it's good for me to get back on the bike, and then hopefully I can pick up some momentum.
Now, you've had goals that you mentioned there for previous, but now you've moved into, your Bryan Staring's teammate. You're on a team that has shown incredible form in the past and always come out to race. Does that reset your goals? Because if sitting here as media manager, I'd be thinking you'd have to be thinking top 6 now.
Oh, yeah, like a top 6 would be nice for sure. Like, I would definitely not be upset about that at all. But it's very hard also, in the last couple of months and now getting back on the bike. And obviously this bike is capable of winning races that I'm on. And I don't really know where I'm at the moment. And every day I've got on the bike, I've gone faster and I haven't hit a limit yet. And, on Sunday, I think I'm going to find a limit at some point that my ability is capable this weekend. And where that ends up, I won't know till then. So... at the moment, I just kind of like to do my best and hope that, on Sunday I'll go home happy. But I think if I was inside top 6, and I'd have no reason to be upset.
Now, you mentioned Mike's been riding everything and other riders have been having... We saw Glenn Allerton have a turn on a 400.
Yep.
Have you had much time behind the handlebars apart from the tests that you've done?
No, I haven't. No.
And what have you been doing to maintain fitness and be bike ready to go?
Just riding my pushy and going to the gym. So, yeah, obviously I didn't know that I was really going to be racing this round only till, such a short period of time ago. So I hadn't really been riding anything and didn't really know what was coming next. So just keeping myself fit naturally just, for my everyday things. But, yeah, just been working lately and... anyways, here we are.
All right, just want to go back to Bryan. Bryan, you've been a guy on a one-bike team all year. What's it like having a teammate? Does that motivate? Is it good to get someone who'll be able to help develop the bike or do things, or is it really... It's the Bryan Staring show and it's good to have you along, Broc?
Well,
I've given you both ends of the extreme there, Bryan. You choose where you want to land.
Yeah, so what it is it's gone from being a very quiet place where... there's
very zen.
Not too much said, and then Broc rolls in, and all of a sudden there's this chatterbox.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I can't see how that's a problem. Speaking personally.
Look, I on a serious note, I actually really like that our team is supporting a young rider coming into the series, because if you look at every single rider on a factory team on this grid or on a high level team, it's all with a much more experienced rider, and our team at Desmo Sport Ducati, they've decided to support someone young, and I think that's incredibly important in the future of the series, and that each team should be looking to do something like that.
Well, we saw Triple Eight go with Broc Feeney, and now we've seen Desmo Sport go with Broc Pearson. Gentlemen, have a great weekend. As we've already said, not a lot of takeaways from today, apart from people literally getting takeaway. We'll see you back here tomorrow for the dry session and a dry weekend in the My Bike Motorcycle Insurance Australian Superbike Championship, presented by Motul, the Morgan Park round. We'll be back tomorrow.